Hi, everyone. It's Matt Difanis, broker, owner of RE/MAX Realty Associates with offices in Champaign, Mahomet, and Monticello, Illinois. I'm coming to you today with a COVID-19 related workflow tweak that I wanted to share with you. Just earlier today, I had a colleague who reached out to me wanting to know if a seller could refuse buyer access to the seller's property in the course of the home inspection process. So to answer that question, let me give you a little bit of an overview on how that would work historically. So once a buyer is under contract and that contract includes an inspection contingency, the buyer is reserving the right to have an inspector and potentially a variety of inspectors if they were doing various specialized inspections, but most typically a general whole house home inspector visit the premises and do the inspection. Now, under normal circumstances, especially if the buyers were local or were able to be in the area, a lot of times you would have one or more of the buyers who would want to be there in person. If the buyers are there in person, you've got the buyer's agent that has to be there in person. So there, if you had two buyers, buyer's agent, home inspector, you got four people. And I've certainly had plenty of instances over the years where the buyers used that inspection access as their opportunity to bring extended family, let them see the place, let them take measurements, also, kind of review the property. So I've certainly had instances where there have been 6 or 7 people at the house during the home inspection. Well, obviously, life has changed. So within the context of the COVID-19 global pandemic, we have to keep in mind that the single most important person during the home inspection is the home inspector who is performing the home inspection. So our local residential sales contract provides for a right of inspection and certain deadlines during which the buyers have a right of access for the inspection. But the right of access is for the inspector. The contract actually does not explicitly give the buyers themselves that right of access. Now, certainly, historically, it makes sense. Buyers want to be there. They get a guided highlights tour while they're there on the premises, and the inspector can potentially point something out to them. But I always tell buyers that even if you're there, you're not going to follow the inspector up onto the roof or into the attic. And so even if you are there, you're depending upon the photographs that the inspector is taking of those locations that a normal buyer is not going to be accessing, even if they're on the premises. So under the current circumstances, given that the inspector is the key player in the inspection, it is really important to honor the inspector's safety. And the best way to do that is make sure that the inspector's work site, which is the home that the inspector is there to inspect, is not full of a bunch of people, so that inspector is not sharing airspace with any more people than he or she has to. Likewise, under the current circumstances, especially if the property is still owner occupied by the sellers, it is totally understandable that the sellers would not want to have a stampede of people coming through their home, traipsing across their floors, sharing their airspace. And so with all of that in mind, deferential to both sellers and to home inspectors, would strongly encourage buyers' agents to set an expectation early that even if their inspector hasn't put up a hard and fast policy of no clients or realtors are allowed, and some have made that a policy, even if your inspector has not, I would strongly suggest that you set that expectation early and that you be highly deferential to the seller. Remember, the real estate industry in the state of Illinois is still permitted to operate. The real estate brokers, attorneys, title companies, lenders, home inspectors, and home improvement professionals are all still allowed to practice, but it's imperative that we be sensitive to the circumstances that we find ourselves in. So the best way for buyers under these circumstances to still get the full benefit of the home inspection is to let the inspector do the job solo. It also is being deferential to the rights of the seller by not having a herd of people going in and sharing airspace and add foot traffic to a property in the context of a global pandemic. So as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. As I've said many times in the course of this, if you need us, please know that my team and I remain on the job and eager to serve you. And if you don't need us right now, by all means, stay home, stay safe, protect others, and we'll be eager to serve you whenever you're ready and the time is right.